Well, here we are in the end of High Holy Week, Friday, Good Friday we call it, the highest Holy Week for all of Christendom, the followers of Jesus. And it's a strange thing we call it Good Friday when it involves the torture of the only innocent man that ever lived, in Jesus, and the brutality behind that. And yet as Christians we call it Good Friday. We signify it in a special way because we know what lies behind that curtain. We know that Jesus, the Son of God, gathered upon himself, as we talked about in Colossians in our study. He invited upon himself the full force of darkness and sin and conquered that which none of us can conquer. As we're seeing even today, conquered death itself for us and rose again on Easter, victorious on our behalf. So our reading today comes from Matthew 27, starting in verse 27. Chapter 27, verse 27. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole Roman cohort around him. And they stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. And after weaving a crown of thorns, they put it on his head and a reed in his right hand. And they kneeled down before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews." And they spat on him, and they took the reed and began to beat him on the head. And after they had mocked him, they took his robe off and put his garments on him and led him away, to crucify him. Verse 35, and when they had crucified him, they had divided up his garments among themselves, casting lots, and sitting down, they began to keep watch over him there. And they put up above his head the charge against him, which read, "This is Jesus, King of the Jews." Verse 46, and about the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," that is, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" And when some of those who were standing there, when they heard it, they began saying, "This man is calling Elijah." And immediately one of them ran, and taking a sponge, he filled it with sour wine and put it on a reed and gave him a drink. But the rest of them said, "Let us see whether Elijah will come to save him." And Jesus cried out with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit. After a severe beating, Jesus nailed to a cross, where he remains for 6 hours until dead. Never before or since has more been lost and gained at the same time. But for those present, either the significance of the moment is lost on them or their hearts break as the one they thought to be the Savior of the world dies at the hands of the Romans. They can't stop it, and they don't realize it's for them. Good Friday, where our God loved us so much that he came and was birthed and took upon our life and lived, and then drew upon himself all that which is dark, took it to the grave on our behalf. Think of this over today. Think this over in your life, the meaning of what Jesus has done for you and I. Praise him. Good Friday.